I didn't want to think about all what happened, so I just buried my past.
There were 38,000 Jews living in the northern part of Libya at the time. Today, there are none left, Mafdal had. The community is totally extinct.
If somebody wants to understand what is going on in the Middle East, they have to understand the Jewish refugees from Arab countries.
מאחורי הכותרות של הקונפליקט המזרח תיכוני, קבור סיפורן הנזנח של הקהילות היהודיות המקומיות באזור. ב-1945 חיו כמיליון יהודים במזרח התיכון מחוץ למנדט בפלסטין. בתוך מספר שנים נותרו רק אלפים ספורים. הרובעים היהודים העתיקים של קהיר, דמשק ובגדד, שהיו בעבר מרכזים פעילים והומים, דוממים כיום. זהו סיפורם של האלפים שברחו מבתיהם, שסבלו במחנות פליטים, ושכיום נושאים בדומייה את הזיכרונות של תרבויות שנהרסו.
I was in Los Angeles on a business trip. I was in a hotel, and there was a young lady in her mid-20s. And I could tell from her name and from her looks that she was Egyptian. So I said, "Ahlan wa sahlan." He said, "Oh, do you speak Arabic?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "Why did you leave Egypt?" I said, "Well, I'm Jewish." He said, "Oh, I didn't know that there were Jews living in Egypt." And I told her the whole story. And she was shocked.
Everybody already thinks of Jews as white Europeans. Not all Jews are European.
לולו חזום היא מייסדת הפרויקט היהודי הרב-תרבותי ועורכת של קובץ מאמרים שנכתב על ידי נשים יהודיות מזרחיות. אביה הוא פליט מבגדד.
When I sing traditional Middle Eastern and North African Jewish music, people will often say to me, "It sounds Arabic." And I say to them, you know, we're not called cousins for no reason. What is Middle Eastern and North African has come to be known as Arab. And people forget that there are many other indigenous peoples from the region, and the Jews are one of them.
בשנת 586 לפני הספירה, צבאות בבלים החריבו את מקדש שלמה בירושלים והגלו את יהודי יהודה לבבל, שהיא עיראק בימינו.
The Jews were about 2,600 years in Iraq, and when they came to Iraq, they came before the Arabs, before the Muslims, of course.
My family is among the Jews who stayed on that land for the next 2,600 years until around 1950. Jews who stayed in the region are known as Mizrahim, which in Hebrew means Easterners. They either stayed on that land of Babylon, as my family did, or they migrated to lands throughout the region, whether it was Iran, whether it was Syria, Lebanon, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, and so on, the entire region.
בשנת 622 הופיעה דת חדשה מתוך חצי האי ערב. בתוך שנים ספורות כבשו צבאות מוסלמים ערבים את מרבית המזרח התיכון. יהודים מזרחיים מצאו את עצמם מכונים במילה הערבית דימני.
A dhimmi or a dhamma, depending on the pronunciation, is a tolerated people. It's the people of the book, Christians and Jews, people who worship, practice the Bible. And according to Islam, this is a group that's supposed to be protected. What that means is, as Islam conquered the entire Middle East, North African region and killed people in the name of Islam if they would not convert, the Jews and Christians would be spared their lives. However, they always had to be both physically and metaphorically inferior. For example, a Jew could not ride a horse because then his head would be higher than that of a Muslim. Jews could not build a synagogue higher than a mosque.
When I used to walk in the street, little children used to run after me and throw stones at me and calling me, "You are a Jew, you are a traitor," and they threw stones at only little kids.
One day we were playing in the field and he turned around and told me, "حيجي يوم حيذبح كل اليهود." One day we will slit the throat of all the Jews. I was shocked. He was one of my best friends and I couldn't understand it. So this is the contradiction we faced at that time in Egypt when I grew up. The good times and the very bad times. The fear and the prosperity.
And I remember very well Baghdad. Remember the river? My family used to live in northern Baghdad. It was a very nice neighborhood. And we had very good relations with the neighbors. The Jews of Iraq, they served the state of Iraq very much, more than any other minority in Iraq. The first finance minister was a Jew.
أبجد هوس حطي كلامه شكل الأستاذ بقى منسجم أبجد هوس حطي كلامه شكل الأستاذ بقى منسجم.
Leila Murad, she was the diva, the Barbara Streisand, if you will, of the Middle East, and she was an Egyptian Jewish woman who was a beautiful singer. And to this day, people are still listening to her music and absolutely love her. Most Arabs do not know that she's Jewish.
كان فعل ماضي ما تسيبه بحاله والماضي احنا مالنا وماله كان فعل ماضي ما تسيبه بحاله والماضي احنا مالنا.
I listen a lot to Iraqi music. I read in Arabic. You know, we cook the same food that we used to cook in Iraq. So I'm very much Iraqi as well.
In 1941, there was one nationalist leader, Kailani, who organized a big uprising against the British occupiers and so forth. And they take the same opportunity to massacre the Jews. And in Farhud, they also massacred the Jews. The British interfered, and after they massacred what they massacred, the things ended. But it has to be always pointed out that anti-British sentiment went with anti-Semitic sentiment.
Some of the neighbors of the Jews, they were with those who attacked their neighbors, with the police, and they killed, they looted, and that's what they did, and they forgot all the friendship.
Throughout Libya, Egypt, you know, all these different countries, Syria, you hear all of these instances of riots leading to torture, massacre of Jews.
اليهود كلاب العرب. The Jews are the dogs of the Arabs. Or اذبح اليهود, slit the throat of the Jews, slaughter the Jews. These were not only on posters, but the people were chanting them. And this was scary to see a crowd coming towards you chanting, "Idbah Yahud," kill the Jews.
This wasn't just mobs and demonstrations. This was actual killings of civilians, innocent civilians who were Jewish. And it really created a tremendous fear in the Jewish population, especially for my own parents. My mother had to run through rooftops to escape the mob that was out to kill many of the Jews in her neighborhood.
כן, אני הייתי בת 13 באותו זמן, בזמן המוראות, וראיתי את הזוועה הזאת, ועד היום, מול העיניים שלי. הערבים קמו והורגים, שורפים והורגים, והתחילו לפרוץ בתים, להרוג, לשבור, להושיב. ואנחנו פחדנו מאוד.
רצתי והם רצים אחריי עד שתפסו אותי. הרביצו עד כמה שנמאס להם. וזה הסימן, תראה, רצו לחתוך את הידיים ואת הרגליים ואת הראש כמו מפה עם גרזנים. עד שנמאס להם וחשבו שאני מת.
When I witnessed the persecution, the hatred within the school and within the neighborhood, within the city, within the country of Iraqis, I came into decision, and my mother, my parents also, that country wasn't so our country. And we had to leave. The persecution of the governments of Arab countries made the Jews in Arab countries desire to leave their origin country, but they didn't how, because no country was ready to receive them. So when the State of Israel was established, suddenly we have a shelter, and the Jews came to Israel.
בתימן התמודדו יהודים עם גל של פרעות. קבוצות הצלה בינלאומיות החלו לארגן טיסות הצלה ליהודים מתימן, אולם רבים מהיהודים לא ראו מעודם מטוס קודם לכן. שמעון אביזמר, יהודי תימני שברח לפלסטין בשנת 35, נשלח חזרה לתימן למשימה להצלת אלפי יהודים שהיו בסכנה.
When I came to this desert, there were there nearly 4,000 people in the desert, in that camp, that terrible camp. There was only sand and very little huts that they live in. They never complained. Why? Because they waited. They hoped. They knew that tomorrow we shall be saved. Tomorrow we shall go to Israel. On Shabbat, we read that part of the Torah. It was Parashat Yitro. And in Parashat Yitro, we read that word, Va'esa etchem al kanfei nesharim va'avi etchem. And I shall take you, with the eagle wings, to Israel. And the Sunday, the eagle, or if you want, the aeroplane, came and took the first wave to Eretz Yisrael. وثجد ابن إسرائيل التمر إيثام أشر أصيثي لمصرايم وأسود خم الكمسين شوريم وذي الخم
כ-680,000 פליטים מזרחיים עולים יושבו במחנות פליטים זמניים שנקראו מעברות. הם הצטופפו באוהלים שבקושי רב הגנו מפני הגשמים והבוץ.
They were put into tents, wooden huts, more than 10 years. Those Jews were in tents as refugees.
Many people ask me, why do you call yourself forgotten refugees? It is interesting to note that in the history of the Middle East, we have been totally cut out of the picture.
The United Nations General Assembly since 1947 has adopted 687 resolutions on the Arab-Israeli conflict. 101 of those resolutions dealt with refugees. But all those 101 resolutions dealt with Palestinian refugees only. It's astonishing to realize that not one resolution, not one of these resolutions ever dealt with the issue of Jewish refugees from Arab lands.
We were really the forgotten refugees, and nobody talked about us. And, you know, we were really humiliated, and we didn't get much attention also. So we swallowed our pain and agony and moved on. On the one hand, it actually improved our situation in integrating in the Israeli society and establishing a new life. But on the other hand, we felt like a great injustice has been done to us.
We don't want to be forgotten anymore. We want to tell our story. We don't want our heritage, which is 3,000 years old, which is rich, to be forgotten. We want our children to remember us so that we can perpetuate the memory of all these 1 million Jews who were kicked out of the Arab world and who will never return, بدون رجوع.
I think the only path to peace is when people can open their hearts and listen to the stories of everyone involved. And this means both the positive things, the points of connection between Arabs and Jews, where there's an overlap of culture, and also the points of oppression.
The Arab governments have taken away our homes. They've taken away our culture. They have destroyed our communities, but they can never take away our spirit to fight for justice.
All human wants to live. He wants his family, his children, to continue living. And if we continue this way of killing each other, of these troubles, and so on and so forth, I mean, there is no hope for them, there is no hope for us.
What's important to me is that the stories of everybody be told, and that everybody's history be recognized and everybody's rights be honored.